Hey everybody, kidRiot here. This is the community clash match last week between Sturmgrenadier and Jenk Squad Alpha. And what I really want to talk about with this start, and this is actually the start of the first round, is non-traditional starts. So typically what you would see in community clash, which is just pretty much the widely accepted fact is that you have to counter air with air. But Jenk, they pull air, but knowing maybe that the air was weaker than Sturmgrenadiers, they actually have a plan B in this case, which is pretty interesting. You see this galaxy here is going to drop 2 burster maxes, an engineer and an infiltrator to support those burster maxes on this tower. And while it's a good move, it does suppress the air. It does create some opportunities for the infantry to get into the base, unharassed. The problem with this is that those are 4 people that are not directly fighting for the points. Sure, they may deny, the airspace around Howling Pass, but once you do that, what happens? Once the air is gone, these 4 people have to be able to do something else. Either fight for a point, resupply at a Sunderer that arrives, at a decent time so that they could equip anti-infantry and push on point, or join another push on the points. So while this does suppress the air, it's kind of a one-trick pony. And so one action has to lead to another action, has to lead to another action. And so you have to be constantly moving forward, constantly fighting for the points, constantly fighting for other objectives. And that's really up to the platoon leader. So remember, like Bruce Lee said, flow like water. Make sure one action leads to another action, and you're constantly pushing forward, constantly applying pressure, and always being the aggressor. The scenario for this clip is that SG is attacking NS. They have 3 Sunderers north of the point, and Jenk comes with 2 galaxies. Typically you see galaxies coming in, you're thinking, okay, they're going to do a drop on the point, so we have to defend the point. But instead, Jenk, in a wily move, drops people on the Sunderers itself. Now there's different names for this move, outfits have different callouts, but the effect is the same. They're able to destroy all 3 Sunderers with 1 drop, and not only do that, but they reload into the galaxy and take those people to the point. So they do a few things here, and this is what I was talking about in the earlier clip. One action leads to the other. They drop on the Sunderers, destroy them, 2, get in the galaxy and put pressure on point. Now this does a number of things. Denying Sunderers is the number 1 thing defenders can do to ensure that they're able to defend the hex. It's one thing to fight for the point, but denying Sunderers is the number 1 thing that you have to take care of. If you can't kill the Sunderer, the attackers will always have pressure on the point, always forcing you to react, and you usually get your back up against the wall, and it's not a good situation for you. So Jenk, by destroying all these 3 Sunderers and by pulling armor, is able to secure the area around NS, retake the point, and set up either for the next attack or potentially set up for their own counterattack on Howling Pass. So once you take out Sunderers, you're freeing up a lot of room for you to breathe, you give yourself a lot of options, and you're able to move forward. SG have proven, if anything, that they have a very methodical approach to community clash. They, if somewhat predictable, they come again with a similar attack with 3 Sunderers placed directly next to each other, and Jenk once again is able to drop onto those Sunderers, except this time they're not able to take them all out. They only take 2 out. And this, if anything, proves why air superiority is always important. Sure, the skies may be clear, but it's always so important to have an air presence, because if anything, with a proper air presence, SG would have been able to call out a galaxy coming in and defend their Sunderers. It's only by a stroke of luck that they're able to keep 1 up, but if that hadn't been the case, they would have had to do an entire reset on this entire attack, wasted multiple minutes on the clock. So fortunately for them, they got lucky, but it's always important to have a stabilized air presence at all times. Even if it's just 1 ESF and 1 lib, it's important for callouts, important for scouting. So never forget, air matters at all times. One of the most important things an outfit can practice for competition is your starting strategy. Outside of scrimmaging other outfits, which is also very important, and doing internal outfits where you can practice, your crossfires, your setups, your defensive holds, your medic supporting. The starting strategy is really what makes or breaks an outfit in community clash. The reasoning is you could see with the SG, they were able to put their galaxy as close to the hex as possible, whereas Jenk started on the air pad, and even those precious few seconds allow SG to be the first on A point. And this allows them to establish, some cover positions on the other points. It lets their bursters have, maximum angles on the aircraft, and it gives their infiltrator safe passage to the vehicle bay to hack and to pull out its Sunderer. And that's exactly what SG does. Now in this case, Jenk actually does their most impressive attack, or the most impressive attempt for Howling Pass, and they're able to recapture A. But because SG was able to establish control very early, they're able to pull, multiple Sunderers, get some localized spawns, and thus have the overall advantage in Howling Pass. So even though Jenk was able to take A, they were in a very vulnerable position because they had no local support. And that's because they were second to Howling Pass to the A point. Speed is everything. You're going to find out in all lanes and in future community matches that the outfits that are able to be faster, react faster, and be more mobile will have a distinct advantage over those outfits that suffer in those areas. And in this case, SG had the speed on Jenk every single time. If it wasn't for a few wily moves from Jenkman himself, it might have been a 24-0 game. But because Jenk was able to counter with some interesting, innovative, actions, they were able to hold out at certain bases. Now, the thing with speed, it's not just getting to the point, it's also being able to hold the point. So it's equally important, like I said, to the starting strategy is to make sure that you guys can shoot on a 1v1 basis. Because the trick to 24s is always being able to fight outnumbered. It's very, very vital that you practice this.
I wonder if they're going to try to make a push on A.
Hey, so that wraps it up for this this first episode of my commentary on the United States Community Clash. In the future, I'll be doing both EU and the United States Community Clashes. It's just that I was pretty busy this week, and so I wasn't able to start till pretty late. And besides, I have some other projects going on. But in the future, I'll be looking to improve the format, make the editing a little fancier. For now, I'm keeping it, pretty simple, because my knowledge as far as editing and all that is pretty slim to none. But hopefully, like these videos are aimed at outfits that are maybe thinking about doing Community Clash, and aren't sure. And so hopefully these videos can help you out, learning from other people's, mistakes, or the successes. And I'm going to be looking to keep these videos short, anywhere between 5 to 7 minutes. I don't want to keep them too long. And hopefully, it provided some insight to people that didn't know, basically what I was showing. And even to those outfits that are pretty experienced, I'll be looking at their games and trying to break it down and trying to get some analysis and insight going. And hopefully this, this provides you with something new and unique as far as competition goes in PlanetSide 2. I'm really excited about the new season coming up, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how the games develop and on how the finals end up. Anyway, that wraps it up.